FBI's Portland field office is quick to spring into action.
We come into a case assuming that it's been a child abduction, because if you don't start off that way, you're starting off behind the eight ball.
But like local authorities, the feds hit the ground with very little to go on.
With no crime scene, with no positive sightings, no suggestion that anything bad had happened to Ashley, it's difficult to find a starting point.
We did searches, we did neighborhood canvas, we interviewed a lot of people. As soon as, she exits her front door, nobody can say what happened to her.
And with each passing day, things get a little bleaker for the family.
It was like a roller coaster, really. You're trying to think positive, but always these horrible thoughts creep into your mind, and you try to push them.
2 months go by with no break in case. Then, on March 8th, a call comes in to the FBI office in Portland that stops the investigation in its tracks.
I happened to be out to dinner with my wife that evening. I was driving home around 10 o'clock, and I got a call from our press officer, and she asked me if I had heard about a second girl having gone missing in Oregon City.
What's your daughter's name? Miranda Gaddis. How long has she been gone? I left for work this morning, and she leaves after I do for the bus. And she never showed up for school. No one saw her, nothing.
What's your home address?
14155 South Cedar Creek Road with Ashley Pond.
Federal and local authorities have been investigating the disappearance of 12-year-old Ashley Pond for 2 months, with no success. But when 13-year-old Miranda Gaddis goes missing, under the exact same circumstances, authorities and residents alike are shaken to the core.
I remained out there that evening along with the two agents to try to gather information from family members and people that might have seen Miranda that day. It became real to me that we had a real problem here at this complex.
For Mariah Gaddis, the discovery comes as a double blow. A close friend of Ashley's, the last 2 months have been an emotional roller coaster, and now her own sister has also vanished.
I got a call from my mom stating that she hadn't showed up for school or for dance practice. That right there just kind of gave me a feeling that something was wrong. I broke down crying.
It felt like the earth opened. They were gone. It was just like they both just disappeared.
I was shocked. I was already kind of in a panic inside. Like, okay, now, person. The same person that took my daughter has now taken Miranda.
Investigators can't ignore the eerie similarities either. Both girls live in the same housing complex, and both vanish on their way to school in broad daylight.
When Miranda disappears, we now know that we have a predator that we're dealing with. We took steps to try and prevent anything else from happening by having a presence out there on a daily basis. We had some other investigative techniques that we used that I'm not going to elaborate on that were put into place as a preventative measure in the event something else happened in that complex, in that neighborhood.
Investigative next step is to piece together a timeline of events leading up to Miranda's disappearance. Unfortunately, information is spotty. The only thing that Mariah can remember about that morning was that she and her sister Miranda had an argument.
The last conversation I had with Miranda that morning that she disappeared,
Hey, Miranda, can I borrow your
it wasn't a good conversation.
What? I always let you borrow
Her and I got into a huge fight. She cussed me out, and I slammed her door. It was very confusing, and it was very hard, not having her there.
With the clock ticking, authorities establish a command center in the local firehouse to expedite the flow of information.
Everyone.
Because both girls live in the same apartment complex, investigators renew their search of the area, but it's not an easy task.
It's down a hill and sort of surrounded by a pretty intensely wooded area. And then there's actually a canyon behind it.
There were a lot of escape routes that would be very difficult to follow because of the uneven terrain, wet, muddy conditions, especially the time of year that this took place. It was January and then March, year end, a lot of rain, a lot of running water.
For Ashley's mom, all the searching gives rise to her worst fears.
I didn't go on any of the searches. I was afraid that maybe she was no longer with us. And that's the last thing I wanted to do, is walk upon my daughter's dead body.
The hope is always that you're going to find these girls alive. But there is some part of us as law enforcement officers that realize, as the days go on, our chances of finding them alive are not good.
While canine units scour the woods and fields across the county, investigators study the girls' histories, what police call a victimology. And once again, it's difficult to ignore the similarities in the girls' lives. Like Ashley's dad, Miranda's father also had a brush with the law.
He had gone to jail on a sex offense. This is not, typical family behavior.
Jason Richard Gaddis was found guilty of sex crimes against a minor in 1995. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison and 54 years post-release supervision. He is living nearby when Ashley Pond disappears, and in jail when his own daughter Miranda goes missing. But after a thorough investigation, authorities can find no evidence linking Gaddis to either incident.
He was just one of many potentially dangerous people that had access to these children.
And while Gaddis is eventually cleared of any involvement, police have no shortage of possible persons of interest.
The person of interest board was essentially a whiteboard and grease markers, and it was ever changing, ever revolving. It was a pretty long list.
Bottom line, the girls lived near each other and both vanished with little evidence of a struggle. Two clues that suggest to police they were likely abducted by someone they knew. A neighbor, a relative, a
Thank
friend.
you.
They had investigated my past because I was in and out of foster homes and knew that I had this open door policy, and both Miranda and Ashley had had a troubled life, so they assumed that I had taken them and hidden them somewhere. And that was kind of tough to deal with.
What?
Whenever a tip would come in, anything that we could follow up on, we did. We left no stone unturned. We were getting, again, approximately 800 or so a month.
From where my friend.
To 1,000.
But as the list of suspects grows larger and larger, investigators begin to notice an unusual and disturbing trend.
The apartment complex was littered with people that had, criminal histories, people that had fantasized about,
Thank you.
young girls.
There are also an astonishing number of registered sex offenders living in the area around the Newell Creek complex. It is what investigators call a suspect-rich environment.
An agent came up to me, an agent that I respect a lot, and he came up to me and he says, Scott, he says, I've interviewed 23 people in that complex today.
Thank you.
You can't eliminate
Mery's Child Abduction and Serial Murder Investigative Resources Center, or CASMERC, was formed in 1998 to assist authorities investigating child abductions and homicides across the country. Bureau personnel help identify and track serial offenders in an effort to match them to unsolved cases. When 12-year-old Ashley Pond first vanishes from an Oregon City housing complex, police consider that she could be a runaway. But the disappearance of 13-year-old Miranda Gaddis 2 months later alerts authorities to an ominous reality.
Hey, please do like, share, and
There's likely a
subscribe.
predator in their midst, and he's targeting young girls.
We have seen children returned years, decades after they've gone missing. So, for those that work those cases on a daily basis, it never diminishes. Frustration comes in, but hope never diminishes.
Shift Command Center, the FBI and local police begin a daunting task, processing some 4,000 leads.
We kept thinking to ourselves, there have got to be people here that we're missing. There has to be somebody that we haven't been able to contact.
Investigators soon zero in on another person of interest, a man named Johnny Vieger.
There was this guy in the apartment complex. Single father, his daughter was really young. He was a suspect at the time. I was told he was a prime suspect. He had asked to take Miranda and Ashley to a big party spot, pretty much. This was before the girls went missing. He had a record for sexual assault, and he just happened to be out of town when Ashley was missing, and same for Miranda. And the police saw that this guy, was a red flag.
Investigators question Vieger, and though he's defensive, they're unable to turn up any evidence linking him to the missing girls.
Made him so furious, and he was so upset. I couldn't imagine what that's like, being told I'm the suspect, But it's got to be hard, but, they do have to rule out.
It isn't long, though, before investigators are hot on the trail of another pair of suspects.
Hi, everyone.
Complex. We had been told and said some curious things about the disappearance of the girls. We had some surveillance of them.
Thank you.
Asked for permission to look through their place. Just give us a couple of moments. When inside the apartment, investigators find nothing to suggest they were involved in either girl's disappearance. There were many people who regularly gave us that consent. Some, for various reasons, chose not to. There were occasions where we actually developed sufficient evidence to take search warrants to some places. But none of those were
Hi, Victor.
keeping that secret intense. Is key. They had to put more pressure on share information. Not everybody is going to be forthcoming, especially when they're speaking with a detective in that day. And some seem more comfortable speaking to the press.
Yeah, I'm watching. What is this? Scene of the crime.
With a tip about a dominatrix named Sheila Gordon, who was living in the same apartment complex as Ashley and Miranda. I thought, well, here's a person that could have just interacted, somewhere in the apartment complex. He could have, have a person there, done something to children in the area. But when he locates Gordon,
Thank you.
she's no longer living in Oregon City. She admits to being a dominatrix, but insists she entertained all of her clients in a downtown Portland location, far away from the suspected crime scenes. The lead
Hello, sorry,
turns
Shoma.
out to be another
Thank
dead
you.
end. The challenges with this case, they're just too numerous to count. We have no first-hand witness
Hey,
to
go
describe
back to
an
the
actual
screen
abduction, no
and do
location of the
live.
crime scene. We have two missing young girls who we just don't know they're alive. It could be working on homicide. We don't know.
I'm watching my crime investigative again. Yeah, please do. What is this? Subscribe me, please.
As police and the press continue to track down a persons of interest, many community residents decide to take action on their own. Residents like Billy Crabtree. Billy Crabtree was one of the people that stepped up early on, helped organize searches in the area around the apartment complex to see if they can find him.
Hello, hi dog. Thank you.
Started a nonprofit organization to raise some money for this. But Crabtree's interest in the case soon raised some eyebrows. He was getting some kind of a search crew somewhere, and they hadn't found like where those things involved in the woods in the apartment complex. And didn't belong to those. I'm not sure who. Crabtree still appeared with both families.
Oh yeah, I was there in the hospital. I picked up some cash and I was there in the hospital and then, like to check. Yeah, I still have to do some paperwork because I've been working in the hospital before. Yeah, and also just to see my coworkers, my boss, and how about you? How are you doing today? And I'm watching my crime scene. Can you still hear it?
And is eliminated as a person of interest in the case. But it isn't long before an old suspect
Hello,
resurfaces.
Steve. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
He was grandpa to everybody because he was older. His house was kind of a mess to me. He was really nice.
Yeah, but you're not yet. What is this? You're not yet chatting me via WhatsApp. Wish we can talk privately there. I do, of course. Why not?
Weeks after the disappearance of Ashley Kahn and Miranda Gaddis, police arrested the suspect, Nathan Weaver. Although Weaver's alibi appeared to check out early on in the investigation, his recent behavior has been sending shockwaves through the close-knit community. I'm talking about the girl that disappeared. Said, I'm going to tell you something off the record. I said, sure. He said, I'm the FBI's prime suspect. I was like, I didn't expect that. Yeah, actually, caught a lot of us off guard. And then he starts getting interviews with media and getting kind of wrapped up in his attention. When somebody does that, obviously it may mean that they got to test too much and maybe they should be considered a suspect. And in their own innate way, they're saying, look at me, but I can't say I did.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I was watching for my crime scene. Nothing. I'm just potty. No. Why? Because there is no liking my, what is this, live stream. So if you like my live stream, like just double tap the screen. Or if you do, or are you subscribed on my channel? Yeah, please do subscribe.
Most of those families were acquainted with
Are you?
with Mr. Weaver, Ashley had
No, I'm at work now. Yeah, of
When a
course. I'm
post-arrest
trying to find
investigators
another,
found
you know,
is the
like,
disclosure that
um,
Ashley Pond
another job
accused
for
Weaver
me
of
in order
molesting
for
her
me to have,
just 5 months before her
let's say, some more
disappearance.
clear allowance.
She was like, trying to read me. You see the scratches. She lifted up her short and she was showing me the thigh scratches. A couple of her nails actually were broken off and how they weren't such a good dad and always friendly and like a father figure. It was hard to believe.
If a child claims to be raped, I would say that child more often is telling the truth. I'm going to investigate and we'll get to the bottom of that.
Hey,
Unfortunately, sometimes
double
children
tap the
fantasize.
screen, please
Sometimes
like,
they are led by
or you
adults
just
to
can
say certain
like
things.
this.
At the time,
Yeah, just
Ashley's
double tap
mother
the
believed
screen
her.
and you
When
like my
police lacked hard evidence, they
video.
did not pursue the case.
Weaver was that the one of the that I said, look,
Yeah, like, are you subscribed in my channel?
I mean, he had motive. He had reason.
Folks talk to one Weaver just seem like just an ordinary average Joe. Born in City, single dad, basically snow diet. Very cooperative.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, I got 40 people. Thank you so much. At least I have, you know, like I have motivation that I got some, like I still have some people in me, you know.
The opportunity. He could watch them.
Thank
He knows
you.
what time to get to the bus stop. You know, he sees that every day. Really pay attention and watch them. I think he
Wow,
planned.
who's giving me the hearts, hearts, hearts?
When confronted, Weaver protests, claiming he is being unjustly accused, tarnished by Ashley's lies.
People that know, my friends, my family, they're behind me. And everybody else, I don't care.
He also feels he's being persecuted because of his father's criminal past.
His father was not only convicted of 2 murders, serving time in jail for
Thank you.
but he was suspected of up to 20 of the murders that are still unsolved. And that convicted him. He buried the body convicted in his own backyard.
He buried his own victim in the backyard.
Do not convict anyone based on the crimes of their parents. At the command center, agents must distinguish rumor and innuendo from fact.
All those things
Yeah.
about his background and his
So
father are
yeah,
significant to
you
us.
can feel free
It
to
certainly
ask me
raised
some
his
question.
level of suspicion. It's not anything that we put the search warrant in.
Wow, I got 5 people. 50 people. My God.
Violence against women in his past.
Yeah,
Yet
please do
surprisingly,
tap
Weaver
the
seems
USB
undaunted by
or
all the
dollar
police
sign.
scrutiny.
Even just $1, I'm okay. I'm always happy. You know. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. But I don't have some super chat.
Weaver's alibi. He claimed from the beginning that there's no involvement on his part because he reported to his job. With a time card entry to prove it.
When you have a time card system that is on the honor system, where you simply
Thank
fill out a time
you.
card, it's difficult to verify that he was really at work.
There is also the matter of the
Well, it's my pleasure really to be with 48
investigators learned
people,
that just days
right?
after Ashley's disappearance, Weaver sunk a series of barrels in his backyard and covered them with dirt and cement.
His explanation was that he had a hot tub and he had to have a concrete pad under it for support, so that's why it was there.
Then, in the middle of July, a strange incident occurs that raises more eyebrows. Mariah is spending the day with Weaver's daughter Mallory when the girls go inside to fetch some popsicles from the freezer. But Weaver won't allow it.
He didn't give a reason on, why we had to go sit outside or anything. But I realized that he had added 4 extra padlocks. He had a couple of other ones on there. It was just, wrapped with chains all on that. And it took him about 20 to 30 minutes to get the houses out.
But with little more than a mishmash of circumstantial evidence, there's not much police can do. In fact, there's still no proof that a crime has been committed at all. We don't know the fate of children that are missing. We don't know if they're dead, and if they are,
Oh, are you still listening my video?
strangers.
My God.
Then, on August 13th, 2002, everything
Kids are
changes when
missing.
frantic call comes into the local 911 dispatcher.
I was watching the news and they had stated that a woman had been running out of her mother's house and she ran out into the street trying to fly down the car.
After months of speculation, investigators finally catch a bite in the case of two Oregon City girls who have been missing since earlier that year. Out of the blue, their chief suspect is accused of raping his son's girlfriend. But there's more.
My heart just dropped. All of us were just like, wow.
And at that point, you have to be the gun. Frances Weaver's 19-year-old girlfriend tells investigators that earlier in the day, she was with Ford at his home when he attacked her. Coincidentally, Sharonda Bowen was driving by Weaver's home just minutes before the crime took place.
She was standing by the car and I believe she was smoking. He did his normal wave to us as we drove by. And then the next thing you know, we're home watching the news and he apparently had raped her. That was like, he did what? He had to, had to replay it to kind of let it sink in a piece of pie.
And that was just such a crazy thing for him to have done. And that's what we showed.
Hello, people. Thank you so much. My name is Mery from the Philippines.
And a judge sets bail. There was just a huge outcry that he's the one.
Hey, please do like, share, and subscribe.
Search the house.
Guys, I'm just here watching a movie. How about you? What are you doing?
On August 24th, 2002, authorities conduct a full search of the Weaver premises.
Oh my God.
I was dreading what they were going to find. But in the same respect, I'd know. And I wouldn't have to wonder anymore.
Search dogs are brought in to sniff out the property, and it isn't long before a backyard shed captures their attention. Dogs have found cases records of uncovered area.
Oh my God.
My dog chewed right up to the boxes on the side of this little shed that was there. It gave just a really strong look. And at that point, it was like the world had fallen out of it. Just left me really speechless. Just a feeling of just couldn't believe it. I had to go outside and sit down with the FAs for probably several minutes to pull myself back together to search. Crime techs waste no time examining the items in the shed, including a large, heavy microwave oven box. Inside, they find the decomposing remains of a young female.
My God.
The crowd they were shocked.
Yeah, I'll do and my live stream on
Just
this.
outside town, investigators bring news to family members.
The authorities showed up there, the detective and the agent, and
Yeah, please do like, subscribe.
we didn't know they had. I went to the channel TVs and the reporter saw the truck from the morning pulled in and her last words were, "This is not good."
Within 24 hours, The body is identified. According to state medical examiner, it's positively that remains discovered yesterday. This body of Maria the Gas.
It was one of those you don't want to believe it because you know if you do, then the reality of it will set in, and I didn't want it to, so I wanted to access about it.
Authorities turned their attention to the recently poured slab in Weaver's backyard. Using an industrial saw to cut through the cement, they soon discovered a series of 55-gallon drums filled with poured concrete. But one drum has a false top, and inside, they find the body of little Ashley Hahn.
Oh God.
Based upon information from medical examiner provided to us, we have since just having spent so much time and energy into this, and to have that bitter, bitter result. The things that we saw that day are things that are going to stay with me for the rest of my life. The crime was so heinous, and so disturbing. It was still shocking to know that somebody just an ordinary person like that is capable of that kind of violence, especially against such a young, innocent life.
After she was found, that was my time to be. That was my time to, you know, absorb what it actually takes. Because you can think about a million things that could have happened, but until you know for sure, it doesn't really sink in. And even then, I had trouble.
They had a fence around Weaver's property, and it was pretty incredible, the outdoor support. That wall was solid with stuffed bears and flowers. I guess I'm kind of serious. But I was scared, so I went down there and talked to the parents. Missing girls who liked their own kids, and they were using this as an example to teach the kids what the world can be like. So they attribute to this. That's all. I don't know what it was. The words to say what you want. Guilty on September 22nd, 2004. Warren Weaver III is convicted of 17 charges, including aggravated murder, sexual abuse, rape, and abuse of a corpse. Sentencing is swift.
I am finding that like that possibility because he has everything in his life to think about what he does.
He's definitely a predator. Do I think he would have done it again? Absolutely. I think he's right where he belongs. I think he's right where
It was almost like it was two different people. The one that we saw that was, caring and supporting and wanting to be there to support us, but also the same thing that two precious girls are.
Despite his plea, Weaver is yet to reveal all the details about the murder of Ashley Pond or Miranda.
She's still in my heart. She's in everything I do. When I have the time, I can sit up here and light a candle and just talk to Ryan and Ashley and it's something. That's what I want to do is protect my pets. Because I always want to protect them. And that
You're crazy. I'm not wearing even white.
I'd seen suicides. I'd seen people disfigured in auto accidents. This is kind of the over the top. I kind of went into right out of the grieving mode into the banning mode. Where are my kids? There was so much anger. I mean, he just. This video was brought to you by Simply Say. There's no save like Simply Say. Police just arrived at an airport parking lot to investigate reports of an abandoned truck. Initially, it seemed like just another routine call with nothing unusual, but that's when it hit them.
Crazy.
Inside the truck lay four brutalized and dismembered bodies hidden inside boxes. What officers didn't know at the time is that 11 more bodies lay buried and hidden in remote areas of the state. An active, twisted serial killer was on the loose, and detectives were already months behind. Taking these take them all to the same place. So if you ever came back out to Mexico, you could go to tickets. It started on a Sunday afternoon when police in Grants, New Mexico received a mysterious call. A landlord had just discovered something he described as disturbing while cleaning out an evicted tenant's home. Officers immediately headed to the address to investigate. This guy has a PS6 going on. So you had them anyways, we finally got into go around. So see every day. We had come by here. When I came by, he says, I'm gonna give you a pile of snow. Well, we didn't know which pile, so we started to load it up. While we were moving some things and found this puppy box underneath some of the kids' stuff, you know. Okay. So we go to put the puppy in the bag because we were gonna bury it, and then we see that they had tied a cord on us. Okay. Well, we've had, like I said, we've got people problems with these guys, so I at least want to put a report on file. I know we won't be able to say who did it and when, but that needs to be associated with him, you know, because we're gonna take the court for a lot of other things. Like just have one on file. No help. Okay. It was clear the puppy had suffered a horrific death. Animal control arrived shortly afterwards and confirmed it had been deliberately tortured, noting a cord tied tightly around its neck. The cruelty of the scene was deeply unsettling, and the officer immediately recognized they were dealing with someone truly twisted. Absolutely. That's just sad. They're just really
Gonna sleep, die. Ha? Ano magsakit man ang tuhod diri lang? Ay, go sleep na ha. Ha? Uy, sira na. Sira man galito-lito ana. Siya may galito-lito. Kabalo man siyang palito.
Unfortunately for investigators, the puppy was just the first body. In the coming days, police would uncover more gruesome scenes, strange disappearances, and disturbing evidence pointing to something far more calculated than anyone expected. That same day, Detective Robert Kearney was assigned to a person's case involving 19-year-old Matthew Miller. Matthew's grandmother had called 911 a couple of days earlier, worried because she hadn't seen or heard from him in nearly a week. It turned out police were already familiar with Matthew and knew he previously struggled with substance abuse, so initially they assumed his disappearance was drug-related. Maybe he overdosed somewhere. But Matthew's family insisted something was different this time and urgently requested to speak with detectives. Trusting their instincts, Detective Kearney decided to visit Matthew's grandmother, where he would discover some unsettling new possibilities.
You guys can help me out by just calling around hospitals, clinics, rehabilitation places, other county jails, and just get stuff there. Her alert for that. Okay. But I will tell you, I had more than enough to run that several times. And it's not one of what I want to do. I have to stop full of guys. Right? It's, probably has a bit of a complex, that kind of person. And so she's real hesitant when she got about this person.
After rehashing some information with Matthew's family, Detective Kearney would go on to learn some critical details. Matthew's girlfriend told the family she saw him getting into a vehicle with several other people, including a blonde woman named Jennifer Lannon, someone Matthew had recently been spending time with. He also learned that Matthew often spent time with a close friend named Justin Mata and his girlfriend, Leonie Calzada. All three were known to use drugs together. Acting quickly on these promising new leads, police began searching locations Matthew was known to frequent, and soon enough, they located Matthew's Chevy Colorado truck, parked and seemingly abandoned within a few plots away from Leonie and Justin's residence. The truck was dirty, locked, and appeared to have been parked there for several days. Inside, detectives found clothing and personal belongings, as well as several unsettling items, including a pair of rubber gloves and a shovel lying in the truck's bed. They also found multiple cell phones that were damaged in the front and back seats. It seemed clear Matthew hadn't intended to leave the truck there, and detectives sensed something wasn't right. Immediately, investigators canvassed the area and found surveillance cameras nearby,
one of which captured Matthew's truck arriving at Leone and Justin's address on January 26th, just 3 days before Matthew was reported missing. With these new alarming discoveries, Detective Turney knew the next logical step was to urgently speak with Matthew's friends, Justin Mata and Leone Calzada, hoping they could shed some light on the situation. However, when they arrived at the couple's residence, they would quickly realize Matthew wasn't the
Okay,
only
thank
one
you.
missing.
Thank you so much.
Just you? Sure. This is Leone Calzada, the girlfriend of Matthew's close friend, Justin Mata, and someone detectives suspected might know exactly what happened to Matthew. Very, very important. We're looking for Matthew Miller. He's been missing for over 2 weeks. When's the last time he was here? A year ago. He hasn't been here since then. What if I got video of his vehicle? When's the last time you saw him? Here we go. Hey, Justin, you weren't here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I hope you can call me sometime or chat me sometime.
What I would like to do, alright, is look around your house for any kind of evidence of that or any kind of
Hi, Richard. Hello.
According to Leone, her boyfriend, Justin, had also mysteriously vanished, and she hadn't seen him since January 17th, nearly 2 weeks before Matthew was even reported missing.
Oh,
Investigators knew something wasn't adding up when Leone insisted she hadn't seen Matthew in nearly a
that's
year.
why you have any
Surveillance
other
footage
social media?
clearly showed Matthew's truck outside her residence just days before he disappeared. With their suspicion mounting, detectives decided to search Leone's home, hoping to uncover whether she might be hiding something or someone. Did you notice anything strange that happened around here? Was anything different around here? Like signs of any kind of blood, needles, needles or pills or anything like that?
Yeah, mostly I communicate with WhatsApp. I rather do WhatsApp.
Despite their best efforts, investigators found no signs of foul play or violence. Still, Detective Turney couldn't shake the feeling that something was overlooked, so he returned to speak briefly with Leone, unaware she'd drop a crucial clue.
I watch your video all the time. Yeah, that's nice.
Leone revealed that Justin had
Oh,
recently
stay
taken off
safe,
with another woman
Richard.
named Jennifer, supposedly heading to Arizona to re-up on drugs and to make some money. With this new detail, Detective Turney now found himself investigating the disappearances of 3 different people. Matthew Miller,
I
Justin
do.
Mata, and now, potentially, Jennifer. Not yet aware just how closely
Okay.
connected these cases really were. So to move forward, Turney quickly looked into Jennifer and discovered she had recently been reported missing by her ex-husband, Sean Lannon. That name sounded familiar to Detective Turney, because just days earlier, officers had responded to a disturbing call at 817 Kingman Avenue, the same property where the remains of a puppy had been uncovered. And the tenants evicted from that very house, Sean and Jennifer Lannon. Finally, investigators were starting to connect the dots. Three people, all closely linked through drugs and personal relationships, had vanished within days of each other. Detective Turney realized it was time to canvass the neighborhood surrounding Sean and Jennifer's former home, hoping a neighbor might have seen something suspicious or could offer the lead they desperately needed. That's when they found a neighbor whose security camera was pointed directly at Sean and Jennifer's old residence, and what the investigators saw on the footage would finally bring some much-needed clarity to their case. Without this neighbor's camera, detectives might have hit another frustrating dead end, and it shows just how important reliable security can be, because when something happens, every second matters. That's why I partnered with Simply Safe Home Security to provide you with a trusted way to secure your own home. After I installed Simply Safe, I felt much safer at home knowing that if anything moves where it shouldn't, I'll be alerted immediately. Along with real-life security pros who can quickly step in and help. Simply Safe's brand new Active Guard outdoor protection means those pros can see a suspicious person in my driveway and spins them, flash the spotlights, even call police before a break-in ever happens. All alarm systems wait until the door is kicked in. Active Guard tells the intruder, hands up, police are on the way, while they're still outside. The tech is smart enough to tell friends from foes, so your partner or the dog walker won't trigger a 3 a.m. panic. But I find myself using the most their video doorbell, which sends me a notification whenever there's motion at my door. It even allows me to communicate with anyone at my door through its built-in speakers, saving me from porch pirates and keeping my packages safe. From the app, you can arm or disarm, lock the front door, check every camera, and see that my studio is safe even when I'm on the road. There are no long-term contracts. Plans start at about $1 a day, and there's a 60-day money-back guarantee. And today, SimpliSafe has a deal just for the Dr. Insanity crew. Save 50% off your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for a professional monitoring plan, and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/insanity to customize yours. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. On January 26th, Matthew is seen entering Sean's home, but investigators never see him leave. Hours later, Sean is spotted on camera driving away in Matthew's truck, and when he returns, he's alone, on foot, and Matthew is nowhere to be seen. 2 days later, on January 28th, the same camera recorded someone loading household items into a red Dodge Dakota parked outside the residence and driving away. This CCTV footage marked a critical turning point for investigators. For the first time, detectives had visual proof of Matthew at Jennifer and Sean's residence. With this significant new lead, the next step was clear. Detective Turney needed to speak directly to Sean. Only his account could clarify what happened that day and potentially reveal crucial details about the missing trio. The next morning, Detective Turney reached out to Sean and agreed to sit down for a formal interview. Whatever Sean said next had the potential to shift the direction of this case completely. So, first things first, let's clear into that. You're seeing that, Mery, we'll talk about the overall job. Horses, truck ever pump at your house? More than like a day, I went out. Have you ever driven a truck? Driven a truck. When was the last time you drove a truck? How was that? A couple weeks ago? So, again, when did you find out that they split and took off to Arizona and ran away the other way? It was 7 weeks ago. Came back home. Did you have anything to do with Jennifer's disappearance, Matt's disappearance? I don't think that take something bad because of Matthew and Jennifer. And Jennifer drove the used to be. She came back with bills and patch and like she left bills. She searched through the show the books. Ghosts. Has she ever done this before? During the interview, Detective Turney notices something strange. Sean remains unnervingly calm. especially considering his ex-wife and the mother of his 3 young children has just vanished. Turney begins to question whether Sean is simply a bystander caught up in a tragic
That's like
situation,
the
or if he
crime.
knows more than he's letting on. The next day, Detective Turney would get his answer, as police received an unexpected call from a man named Josh Hall. Josh was an acquaintance of Matthew Miller and claimed he'd recently witnessed something that deeply concerned him, directly related to the strange disappearances. Investigators quickly arranged for a meeting with